Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a Brainrich Kids podcast. We have Dr. Nicole Bradford with us today. And Dr. Nicole Bradford, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what brought you here and what would you like to share with us today?
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and join you. I'm so excited about it. Just a little bit about myself. I am the owner of Maintain the Flame. When you hear the word maintain the flame, what do you think of? What comes to mind?
I have an unfair advantage, so I know
Okay.
that it has something to do with the personal development and
Yes,
it's your
yes,
own flame. Uh,
that's right.
that's what I assume.
Yes, yes. Well, this is a company that I established many years ago, and it was just for that reason. I know a lot of us, when we're young, we have all this excitement and enthusiasm for life, and we're living life to the fullest. We really don't care about what our friends think. We just want to dance and be a kid. But then as we transition into the adult world, we begin to conform. We're looking around and we're like, oh my gosh, does this outfit look okay? Am I fitting in? Because we go through our high school years and we may transition and get married, and the family expectations are a little different. And then we go into the workplace and the expectations are different there. And sometimes we begin to lose pieces of ourselves. We begin to chip away. We allow the world to chip away at who we truly are. And so maintain the flame was established to keep you ignited, keep that flame lit for life. So you don't forget about the dreams or the goals that you had when you were younger, or the aspirations. Maybe you want to open a business or you want to start a great podcast just like you, but you want to reignite that flame and say, you know what? It's never too late. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to rewrite your story. And so I just want to encourage people to maintain their flame, but most importantly, stand in your truth. Having integrity, especially in a world where any and everything goes, it's so important for you to know who you are and to be able to stand in your truth.
So, where does it start? Where do you think people have their flame and then they notice that they're starting to decline? When do you think that happens? Under what circumstances?
When you begin adulting or just living in life, or maybe you're going along and you're trying to pursue a business or a podcast or something that you have, or open a restaurant, and you're going along and things are fine. Yes, this is great. I'm getting customers, I'm making connections. It's going to all come together. And then all of a sudden, bam, life, reality. Something happens in your personal life to get you off track, or something happens financially to get you off track. And so then you think, well, is this for me? I'm having so many challenges getting it up and running. Maybe it's something trying to tell me it's not for me. And so your flame begins to kind of fade and dwindle, and you're like, maybe next time. Maybe that dream was too big for me. But you have to be the one to encourage yourself. I always say we love watching sports, or we all like our different hobbies that we're into, and we get so excited, invigorated, and we want to go. Just like you're excited for them, or that it's sport or whatever it is, make sure you're willing to advocate and be that excited for yourself. So maybe you take a step back. Yes, I got off track. Yes, the money might not be right now, but I'm going to keep saving and I'm going to keep working towards it. And I'm going to learn from this situation, and I'm going to get back on that horse, and I'm going to work it until I see my dream come to life. So you can manifest it, but you can't allow your flame to go out. You just have to know it might be a little light right now, but I'm going to reignite my flame and I'm going to pursue what genuinely makes me happy.
So what if people lose a little bit motivation and don't get enough dopamine? So what if their flame slowly declines and they don't get as much fun in their life? Where could it lead? What are the worst case scenarios? What have you encountered? And maybe what is your personal story? And why did you start working on this? What motivates you to do this kind of work?
Depends on how big this dream is for you and how much you've invested. A lot of people they'll invest their heart and soul into something and it doesn't work out. It could be devastating. It could be a huge blow to them. They could slip into depression or it can affect their self-esteem. Maybe it's a relationship that you've always wanted and you put your heart and soul into it just to find out, it's not worth it or it doesn't work out. And so that can affect you mentally and physically. It's important that we continue to move forward despite the challenges that we have in life, despite the situations we encounter. And so I wrote my first journal. One step is all it takes. Just taking steps towards your dreams and your aspirations. I believe once you start working towards that and taking those steps, it's going to reinvigorate you. And you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I can do this. My flame may have dwindled for a little bit, but I got this. So once you continue to keep yourself encouraged, advocate for yourself, working towards your goal and your dreams, you'll see that you can come out on the other side and you'll be better off for it.
I love specifics, so I
Mhm.
want to get as specific as possible. Our listeners are mainly young parents, parents of multiple kids sometimes. And when you have a kid, it's a job. When you have two,
Yes.
that's like three jobs. So everything comes with it, lack of sleep, emotional distress, exhaustion, you name it. Sometimes when kids leave the home and they go to school and parents find themselves out of a job, and then they think, oh, maybe we should get back on a career track. Some parents are trying to do both, regardless of having kids or not. So I want to focus on that target audience
Mhm.
and work through the scenarios. So I know you have chapters in your book, and particularly the one that I'm curious about on rejecting the external pressures. With the audience in mind, right? Tell them, what do you think they experience, how to get out of that negative feelings and how to get more flame in, how to get uplifted.
Because of my experience, it can be very, very difficult at times. After we had our oldest, it took forever for us to have my son. And then my daughter came. And it was very, very stressful because I did have a career and I would think to myself, have I lost it all? I used to be successful. I used to have this career, and now I have these babies. Am I able to give them everything that they need? And I would become discouraged at times. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to make this work? Parenting is very, very difficult. And for me, I wanted to give my children what I did not receive. I made sure that I was very loving and very nurturing to my children. But in the process of giving them all that I had, I sometimes would lose myself. I must have time for the children. I must have time to make sure that I have the activities for them. But there is going to have to be a time where I put a pause button and I need time for Nicole. And that was very, very, very difficult for me because I thought that was being selfish because I'm a mother and I have to be there for them all the time. But I couldn't be a powerful, strong mother to my children if I didn't take care of myself first. So I just think being able to, number one, reflect on the situation, being able to look at it realistically for what it is, understanding that you're doing the best that you can. There is no book. Yes, there are millions of books out there that people have written, but there is no one book that says, okay, when you have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, you need to do the following. I wish it was, but it was very stressful. But if you work towards it, you do your research, you spend time with nurturing your children, but most importantly, spend time making yourself a priority, you're going to be able to be a better parent for the babies in your life.
So when you said make yourself a priority, specifically, what does that mean? Dedicating 5 minutes to do a gym routine, or give me a practical activity. How would it look like that I'm taking care of myself?
Making, I would say a practical example would be for me when it was just me and my firstborn, she never left my side. And so I had to learn, Nicole, it's okay to go to the hairdresser, go get your
Mhm.
hair done, allow her to go to either a sitter or have a play date, and then you can reconnect. It's not the end of the world. And it was very difficult at first because, of course, all the hormones are raging and all the guilt, and I just miss my baby. And this was back in the 90s. I would always tell myself, and I felt bad, Nicole, you wouldn't leave your credit card with a stranger. Why are you leaving your baby with a stranger? And I would beat myself over the head with that. And I'm like, no, it's not that bad. She's going to be okay. And I was able to overcome that. But just understanding you must make time for yourself.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. Indeed, when I pay at the restaurant, right, they take my credit card away, and then they slide it, and then they bring it back.
Yes.
That's an interesting one. How else do you protect yourself? What else do you tell people to do?
The way you protect yourself is learning to love yourself no matter what. You may through a period where you've had, like for me, two kids back to back, and your body is going through all types of things. It's okay to love yourself where you are. And so I've always have been such a thin lady growing up as a child. I had my first child. I don't think I began showing until I was like 7 or 8 months. But then with the next one, I was like, wait a minute, where did all this come from? And so I had to understand you are okay, Nicole. This is a process that your body has to go through. You love your children. You're bringing in a new life. You have to accept yourself the way that you are. And so that took some time for me, but I was able to understand it and love myself where I was, spend time doing things that Nicole loved before I became a parent so that I can understand I can always go back to my hobbies. I can always lose weight. I can always go back to the things that I enjoy. But right now, I've made this conscious decision to bring a life into the world. So I'm going to do everything that I can to protect them and to protect myself. And the best way to protect them is taking care of myself first.
Do you feel that when you tell that to a parent, they sort of glance at you because they're like, okay, yes, I heard you, but I can take care of myself for 5 minutes. But at the same time, would you imagine, have you seen these situations when you clearly, as an outsider, can tell that, hey, parent, you should take care of yourself because it is also impacting negatively your baby. You don't even understand how stressed you are and how that reflects on your baby. Do you have any evidence of when parent does not take care of themselves, of a negative impact on a child?
Oh, most definitely. In my personal life, I grew up in a home witnessing domestic violence. We have to understand we must take care of ourselves, even if it's just going to work out, or if we know that we're in a relationship that's not going to provide a positive or a safe environment for you or your child. You must take care of yourself. And the number one way to do that is to remove yourself from that relationship so that your child can be safe and they can have a better future because of it. So, even though I was in that situation as a child, I was able to seek counseling as I became older, and I understood that, Nicole, you're not your situation. And that's why I needed to go get help for myself and take care of myself so that I could be a better mother to my three children, to know that, yes, I grew up that way, but that's not what I'm going to have for my children. And I can be a better parent because of that.
And you talk about empowerment of authenticity. Tell me a little bit about that. What do you think is going on with the parents? And what would you suggest? What kind of tools and actions do you propose or offer people to take?
When you're being authentic to yourself, you still have to know you're still a person. You're that Nicole Bradford before I became mommy. I'm still Nicole Bradford. And so you have to be okay in understanding the goals that you have, the hobbies that you have, they're still inside of you. And that's a part of that flame that's on the inside. But you can still be mommy and Nicole. When I had my first child, it was very difficult. I was working full time and I hated to leave her, but at night I had to go work on my doctoral degree. And so I'm driving and we're doing ABCs and we're learning our colors. And I'm sorry, you've been in daycare all day. I still have this Nicole inside of me. I'm still going to pursue my passion. So we had a break in our time together. I still poured into her when I came home or before I left for work. And I'd go to school and do my schoolwork. And I'd come home, spend time with her. And once I put her to bed, work, did all of my homework for my doctoral degree. But you can't lose yourself in the process. If you love yourself, you must remain connected to who you are, and you have to be authentic to yourself. It does not mean that you have to deny yourself the things that you love and enjoy and desire. You just have this wonderful extension of you now that gets to see you reading these huge educational books for your doctoral degree, and the baby's looking like, what are you talking about? But we're reading together, and it makes it better and more exciting. But don't lose yourself just because you have a child. It's just a beautiful extension of who you are.
When you're asking them to be authentic and at the same time they have the duties and expectations and the societal norms, how do you tell people to navigate that environment?
The main thing is knowing who you are and being able to be okay in your skin and in your position and where you are in your journey, despite what others may say about you. The world is going to put all types of pressures on you, especially as a working mom. The world may say, yes, you're a mom, but we need you here for this meeting. We need you committed to doing this. And I had to say, I'm sorry. I am Nicole at work, but I'm going to leave at a certain time. I have to go be mommy. I can't pour into all these other children and not take care of my own. And in the book I talk about, unfortunately, some of the biases that come into the building and to relationships and things of that nature, because people automatically think, we're not going to promote you. You're a woman. You guys have kids. You'll never be at work. And you have to stand firm. I can do the job just as well as anybody else, but my kids are a priority. And so whenever I go into an interview, that is something I always made sure to put at the forefront when I'm speaking. I am a mother first. I have children. I love my kids, and I need to be present in their lives. When I'm here, I'm going to give you 115%. But if duty calls, I have to be mommy. And so I think when we understand that and we don't allow the pressures of the world to dictate to us, but whether we stand in our truth and we say, this is how I'm going to live my life, and this is what's important to me. And if they want you as an employee, they're going to respect that and honor it and appreciate you being a part of that company.
Exactly. So now I want to ask you a slightly different question.
Mhm.
Now you have a chance, you have an opportunity to impact someone's life at the very beginning of it. So, what would you tell parents on how to work with their kids so that they wouldn't have authenticity issues or confidence issues in the future? So what would you tell parents to tell to their kids, or what would you tell parents on how to foster that kind of mindset from the very beginning?
From the very beginning, I would say to encourage those babies, giving them their ability to stand in their truth, to let their personality come through. If it's questioning a lot, allow that. Give them an opportunity for choice, but with boundaries, but supporting them. Even in my demographics, children may have short hair today and then tomorrow come with a head full of hair. And so I would always, we talked about everything before they would leave the home. Are you sure this is what you like? Okay, that's great. And so we'd go over things. So what happens if someone says that, oh, your hair or what have you? And then you'll say, but I love it. And that's right. If you love it, that's what's important. It doesn't matter what other people think. And so we'd go through the drill, and then I'd send them out into the world. For my youngest that had the polka dots and the stripes, if this is what you love, let's get more polka dots, but allowing them to be who they are, talking them through the process, supporting them, and letting them know you're not living for anyone else. You're living for yourself. And I always told my kids, I don't have any expectations for you and who you become other than being happy. And if you're happy, I'm good. Because at the end of the day, we can get all the jobs and all the money in the world, but at our core, we're not truly happy with who we become. And I believe I've done a great job as a mother when I help them to find out who they are, to stand in their truth, and to love themselves.
Very interesting thing.
Yes.
So you teach your kids to have individuality. This
Mhm.
is great. And you are modern parents, so you're good with it. You understand how to encourage that. However, what if the kid doesn't like what the teacher tells them or the school? So now we're talking about the authority from the outside. How do you manage that? And let's assume you don't really have a lot of leverage, a change in the school, change in the teacher's mindset. So how do you tell your kid to stand the ground when when you as a parent have absolutely no power to change anything?
I always with my students because they'll come in and they're like, Dr. Bradford, my goodness, she's giving us another test. I can't believe this. She's not listening to us. And I say, okay, now what have you done in this situation? Have you talked to her? Have you gone and especially not in front of the class? Because a lot of students in this generation loves to stand up and I'm speaking on behalf of all 30 of us. No, 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 that's not the right approach. I want you to take time during her conference period, go in and talk with her. Hey, I noticed that you're giving a lot of exams. Can we talk about it? Can you tell me why this has to happen or what I need to do, what my role is in it? And then after you taken time to have that conversation, I think it's all about relationships. And so when my students come to me and they're frustrated and they're angry, I always tell them everything is about your approach. Everything is about your delivery. And so the parents may feel overwhelmed and the parents can't change things. But when I was a parent, even with my kids in high school, I don't get involved unless I have to. This is your education. I
Mhm.
want you to take control of your education. And this is what I recommend you do. You talk to them during their conference period. You honor and accept responsibility for your role in the situation. And you come up with a plan of action for you guys to work together. Now, they may not bend, they may not change things because of you, but the great thing is you've planted the seed and you voiced your concern. And so, and I always taught my kids, you're not there to be the voice for everyone else, because then that can come across the wrong way and the teacher feels that they're being attacked. But taking that one-on-one time, building those relationships, voicing your opinion, and taking accountability for your role truly makes a difference. And then you can go home and sit down and talk with your parent about it. And that's what we used to do with our children. We strategize together. But this is your education, and I need for you to take ownership. And I started that in high school with them so that they would be prepared when they went to college. Because I can't go during the conference hours with teachers with you. I have to prepare you for the real world. And it worked out fine.
Got it. So tell me now, we'll take a little step back and I want to get back to your book. So tell me, maybe describe it. Tell me what did we miss? So what else would you like to share? Tell us where to find it, where to find you, if people have any questions. So do a little bit of a presentation on that so we can understand better about
Okay.
your book.
Okay. Well, my book is entitled My Soul is Not for Sale, and I'm so excited. It just came out, but it just talks about removing the lies, the labels, and limitations that sometimes the world can put on us. And it applies in our relationships and the workplace and in our society in general. And so I'm just inspiring everyone in the book to take your life back, to take ownership of your life. And so the book gives you takeaways at the end of every chapter. Some things that we talk about is bias in the building. We also talk about integrity. Sometimes being able to stand up when others don't can sometimes make you invisible to others, and there are consequences. And then is also an area where I talk about the flush method. And so this method came from my sister Felicia, number 5. And whenever I had issues or problems, she would say, Nicole, I want you to get a piece of toilet paper and I want you to write down everything that makes you upset. I want you to think about it. I want you to review it. I want you to reflect upon it. But most importantly, I want you to take a responsibility for your role in it. And after you reviewed and reflected, I want you to ball it up and I want you to flush it. And it's facing life's uncomfortable situations so you can heal. If you're not willing to face it head on, if you're not willing to look at it realistically and take responsibility for your role in it, you'll always be stuck. And so I think the book, My Soul is Not for Sale, is very encouraging and inspiring, and it helps for everyone in your lives, if it's for your relationships, your work, or just being in society in general, and standing in your truth and showing up authentic so you can live a life with no regrets. And so I can be reached on social media. I have LinkedIn, Maintain the Flame. I have Facebook, Maintain the Flame. I have Instagram, Maintain the Flame. And my website is www.maintaintheflame.net, all one word.
Perfect, perfect. And we just had Olympics, so maintain the flame. You should say like, oh, I was also at the Olympics passing the torch.
Yeah. Yes.
That would have been cool too.
Yes.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nicole.